Hi everyone, my name is Elisha Harrington. I'm a Senior Director here at ServiceNow within our Financial Services Innovation team in APJ here. My charter is really to work with our customers and partners on our go-to-market for financial services. And previous to ServiceNow, I have worked for a number of the top tier professional services organizations, consulting to a number of financial services institutions across their business and technical transformation. So today we're here to explore how FSIs can really move towards more modern, compliant, secure, and connected operations. So let's dive right in. And before we do, please note that throughout this presentation, Safe Harbor does apply. So what the world expects from banks is changing fast. And let's look at some of the challenges that banks are faced with today first up. So you've got obviously really agile challenger banks that are offering these new and innovative solutions all the time with this new idea of what a true compelling service experience is. And really to stay competitive, banks really need to learn how to leverage and control their data and really look at customer experience through a lens of being able to adapt and look at this service-oriented organization in a new way and transform their real value chains and operations. And more broadly, the regulatory setting and the technology architecture of Australia's financial services industry is really creating this sort of national infrastructure to build and improve product services, customer experience, and really shift the dial when it comes to developments such as the new payments platform, the comprehensive credit reporting, and the consumer data right, which will really drive greater innovation and opportunity for incumbent banks and new entrants. So this is real focus on the migration from product to services-based culture, making a difference through superior experience and service excellence. So this single omni-channel integration point for both the customers and internal use is really best actioned when you have a single pane of glass and an action-oriented platform to drive all of this. So we're really looking at control management and risk management when it comes to turning it into a proactive enabler, as opposed to being reactive when it comes to risk and compliance. So these are some of the areas that are changing the world of banking, and we're going to explore this in a little bit more depth, as well as really look at what's happening at the iceberg level. So what's happening underneath the water, what's happening within the actual middle and back office operations. So the banks are investing. We know they've invested in heavily in the customer experience engagement through mobile, online banking, all of that top surface layer that the customer sees on the outset. But what's actually happening underneath the surface of the water is really this iceberg effect, where the middle and back office operations are ultimately the biggest impact on business performance. And we've got this demand request capturing at light speed up the top, and that stagnates further down the value chain. And really this highlights the front to back end-to-end customer journey that really needs to be frictionless, effortless, and transparent all the way through. And there's a few areas of focus here, and McKinsey really pointed out these areas where there's a need to reduce disputes, processing costs. So to give you an example, the top 15 US banks spend approximately $3 billion each year combined on disputes processing. And there's also this really focus area on accelerating onboarding for customers. So alternative lenders can decision a loan in under 5 minutes versus up to 3 to 5 weeks for a traditional bank. So reducing those manual processes, driving that cost reduction, speeding up those life cycles are really, really important. As well as reducing, say, loan servicing costs. So the average cost of servicing a loan has grown by 4 times since 2008, as well as the risk and compliance costs that sort of come along with that. So these are sort of the areas that banks are really focused on at the moment. And there's this lack of visibility, creating fragmentation, not just at the customer experience or the employee engagement level, but also the employee workflow level. And this is really caused by fragmentation in the siloed systems on the back end. Collateral management, policy management, compliance is complex. agents and bankers alike are having to go into a multitude of systems to retrieve various risk guidance and operating procedures that are often out of date or come in bits and pieces, and don't really have that holistic view across what information they need so that they can get their job done. So there's a lot of rework, there's a lot of rekeying information, there's a lot of errors that are happening, and this is really costing banks. And there's this sort of, archaic banker experience with monolithic architecture and legacy integrations that are really making servicing, originating, and managing the customer very slow. And this is really challenging because there's this sort of piecemeal delivery of function per se. So what's the opportunity here? Well, there's a bold future ahead for banks if they can get it right. And, there's a recent study that found that 40% of the time is spent in global operations or, operations of a bank, which is called the messy middle. So these are performing tasks that are highly administrative, and they're onerous on the organization. So, and 20% for redesign of customer banking journeys, this can actually result, if you do this well, in 15 to 20% lift in CSAT. So there's a lot of gain here, and you can see that better customer service translates to customers being 2.5 times or more likely to do more business with the existing bank, and no one does business with just one bank anymore. So there's this shift, and a lot of technology companies are getting into financial services as well. So it really becomes this ability to not only reduce significant costs, but also truly transform once and for all front to back office operations, as opposed to this band-aid approach we've been seeing even with existing, some business process solutions that have been in place, or, some various levels of automation. We're not seeing this holistic, full solving the problem front to back within loans or cards operations, and truly driving this holistically. And so if we shift over to, the focus of embedding risk and compliance in this such highly regulated market, it's becoming more and more needed that the risk and the controls need to be automatically detected within the systems, be embedded within the frontline processes themselves. And, when servicing customers, the ability for the bankers and agents to really avoid and prevent breaches of fines from happening in the first place is really the focus here, as opposed to just waiting for the event to be sort of logged in the system, and that's too late at that point. The fine is already in place, the risk event has already happened. How can banks really truly be proactive and preventative is really where the banks need to get to. And these bankers or aligned specialists are unfortunately falling into the traps of incorrectly processing transactional data, incorrect payment drawdowns, or various errors due to typos or lack of due diligence, lack of knowledge. So having this sort of going from traditional financial services when it comes to risk and compliance to the future of financial services, we see that this needs to be more dynamic and use technology and automation to be compliant by design, and have this sort of risk and compliance as code, if you will, where policies are actually enforced within the API developed by the risk or service teams, and you've got this systemized governance over the policy itself, moving from current fragmented and manual management, for example, product specific, or policy specific information, and really moving that where the actual policy is executed by service teams. And this should be dynamically, you should have dynamic reference rules that are mastered within the product catalog and the service catalog and made available through, APIs. This is where a lot of the failure of due diligence is happening in these servicing and fulfillment teams, and the ability to ensure that provisions are done correctly, there is no misleading information, hidden fees, or really looking at compliance as a whole throughout every area of the organization, really needs to have this holistic approach, really to enable this greater speed of competency and to solve some of these issues with quality assurance and compliance. So if we look at the path forward, really building this future of banking with financial services operations, we realize that you can already do a lot with the ServiceNow platform, but now you can do even more with our industry purpose-built functionality to address some of the areas I've just spoken about. And with ServiceNow's single data model, we can provide our financial services customers with a single system of action, which is key differentiator for ServiceNow and is key for any C-suite or line of business owner that really needs a single lens across monitoring everything from IT and the systems and services and the health and response that goes with the services that are underpinning that, and the employee having visibility across all of their employees. Are they compliant, up to date with training, having the visibility across customer experience, looking at, what are the predictive next steps for a banker, or where are they up to in the various volume of activity? Where are the tasks being done? How long are people spending time on things? Having this lens for a business leader is extremely important when it comes to, reducing time to competency for bankers or agents, looking at efficiency ratios, looking at operational financial metrics, as well as service performance. So really there's this focus on, knowledge engineering and looking at this federated banker agent experience and having that across these different lenses all in one area for, true front to back collaboration and visibility is key here. So we're extending our amazing platform with customer workflows and with the financial services data model to bring this to our financial services customers. And simply put, customers get to take advantage of all the inherent power of the platform, and they're able to really address these specific solutions or address these specific challenges that we've talked to by transforming their operations. And we've built out-of-the-box applications using the Banking Industry Architecture Network buy-in, and to be able to really do this out of the box and do this fast, rapid deployment, rapid realization, and rapid live. So we're really looking at saving our financial services customers a lot of intense time, and so that they're able to achieve a higher return on investment, a higher value, and a lower total cost of ownership. So by building our single data model with one infrastructure, one platform, you're able to really enable customers to connect all of this together, so that customers have a visibility across any service that they are engaging with, as well as the employees. They're able to really look at the processes and drive down the cost of compliance. And for years, companies have really struggled to integrate all of their data into a single platform that can also be scalable. And this is what we have been taking to market. So when you use the ServiceNow platform, your people, processes, and technology become faster, more agile, and you can easily innovate with all of this capability on the Now platform. And really your customers can manage their accounts, transactions, payments across multiple channels. And so whether it's through digital engagement or service, the customers always need to know exactly what the touch points are when they're getting their next interaction. They don't want to be doing service for the bank. The bank wants to be servicing the customer, so that that you can move past this sort of complex dealings, and really looking at the ability for the bank to move past legacy systems, simplify the operating environment, and empower the workforce to enact on that speed as customers expected to do so. So we're doing this by providing the card operations teams, the payment operations teams. Here I'm displaying card operations as an example, but really empowering so that the card operations teams are able to have this connective tissue, this one-stop shop to a dedicated workspace for all of their work. So whether it's managing work within a branch, contact center, or other back office teams, this is all in a single queue for task management, for the ability to do case management, the ability to orchestrate all of this servicing across the banks. And really there hasn't been a cohesive solution. It's still being disjointed. It's still fragmented in there. And really the ability to provide a clear visibility on these tasks, meet internal SLAs, prioritize work is effectively where the banks are at the moment. They really need to get this right in terms of being able to service these requests on time for the customers, for regulatory compliance, etc. So, to highlight some of these areas, McKinsey put it well, where they highlighted that the top 15 US banks spend approximately $3 billion each year combined on disputes processing, for example, and about 50 to 100 million disputes occur annually in the US. So, and McKinsey has also pointed out that banks in which 10% of disputes outcomes were incorrect, both in favor of or against the customer, really the need to simplify and automate the processes have led to better decisions in these problem areas. So there's a need to accelerate this topic. And when I'm highlighting payment operations, you can see this is also very similar, where we are enabling the payment operations teams to prevent a lot of their basically streamline their diverse payment operations function and reduce a lot of this, margin of error, these errors that are happening where things fall through the cracks. There's highly administrative burden on all of this. And these areas can be in the form of, errors in fees and charges, incorrect direct debit requests, customer requests not, processed in expected timeframes. And all of this is equating to really avoiding negative operational impacts, avoiding poor customer experience, financial loss to the bank, regulatory breaches, reputational damage. All of this is, put in place to provide this single pane, this single operations workspace for the agents to do their work efficiently across the bank. So when we talk about harnessing data, this is at the core of what we're talking about here. So how do you take meaning from, say, the notes and the interactions with customers and make decisions based on the analysis of these notes and then get a real-time view of this? This is extremely important, where there's so much rich information in the banks, and there are information such as, the customer interactions, as I've said, the holdings, the goals, the agreement data. Capturing this can be really useful when it comes to looking at what the next best steps are for a particular customer, predicting some of the outcomes, and really looking to see how they can deliver service excellence. And, data without context is just organized data, information. It's not really useful for anyone to make any decisions. So being able to harness this in one area is extremely important. And we can help do this by looking at machine learning to deliver real-time, say, policy changes, providing context when it comes to what are the numbers that the bankers are looking at, anticipating and assisting, customers, brokers based on, predictive modeling, and personalization is really key here. So preventing rework, looking at anomaly detection, all of this, predictive service, similarity clustering, natural language processing, all of this capability is really enabling the bank to become more proactive and predictive and look at measures and really increase their ability to provide service to their customers at a really fast way, and reduce all of that rework and error that can be really costly and expose risk to the bank. So when we look at things like performance analytics for customer service, this is also a really key area for banks at the moment, where, the banks need to anticipate these trends that we're talking about. So being able to monitor existing conditions and prior performance to really adjust service coverage as market conditions change. So for example, looking at interest rates indicators that may influence a customer wanting to, say, refinance their loan, we can be proactive in reaching out to them ahead of time. Another example would be, say, delivering automation and self-service, so that, not only employees can really self-serve themselves within the organization, but customers can as well, reducing all of that stickiness and the time that it costs to get things done. So you can really enable and deflect all of these requests into various queues and deliver intelligence with automation, so that you can really increase efficiency. So we're also, when we talk about performance analytics, we really want to drive continuous service improvement. So looking at performance improvement and taking action through, these key indicators looking at scorecards, the time charts, the run the bank, protect the bank dashboards, these important tools and reporting mechanisms that are available to all areas of the business, so that you can really get a sense of what's happening in any time at any level. And this is the kind of visibility that the bank really needs to drive a lot of this innovation and service excellence that we've been talking about today. And finally, look, behind every great experience is a great employee and customer workflow. This is what we're about. We are ServiceNow. We have service in our company name, and we make the world of work better for people. So we're not the system of record, we're the system of action with embedded compliance. And we are really structuring unstructured processes and structuring unstructured data across the organization so that you can truly industrialize and modernize the operations. And we do this by having a platform in place, ServiceNow. And you can take all this reusable components and capability with one platform, one data model, and one architecture. And you can really democratize data in your organization, truly making the data accessible for any profile or role type, anywhere, anytime, on any device, for the customer and employees alike. And you can really, truly enact this change when it comes to delivering connected services. So this is about speed, resiliency of service, the ability to change in real time, whether it's a regulatory change, a process change, a service change, a product change, or a pricing change. ServiceNow is the center point where all of the services live, feeding in system of record data, as I said, so that you don't have to move out of the interface and into any other system. We can power that up with various integration and the system of action that allows you to really move across the bank as you need to, as per your role. You can automate processes so that bankers, agents, teams can really focus on the judgment, strategy, higher value areas, customer interaction. And this is really resulting in, both the high customer and employee satisfaction at the end of the day. So creating this and harnessing a single pane of glass across your organization with a single platform is really what's going to transform and shift the dial that the industry needs today and move the banks into the next wave that they are going into. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and I look forward to talking to you on similar dialogue. And thank you again for watching.